All these bullshit stories by Western media, it's just a huge ploy to try and destabilize China, to serve their own geopolitical interests. In Xinjiang, there is 24,000 mosques in that one single province in China. If you compare that to the entire country of the United States of America, it is 10 times more. Now you're probably going to say, oh well, America's not an Islamic country. Guess what? Neither is China. They even have minorities scripture on the money, on the actual Chinese national currency. Wait, I'm going to show you here. Look, hold on. I don't know if you can see it there. I mean, if you want to talk about the treatment of minorities, I mean, America, they've got some cheek to talk. I mean, if you look at America today, how are America's minorities doing? The indigenous people of America. Oh yeah, that's right. They were displaced, killed off, put into slavery and war. Their culture was literally oppressed so much that it was almost completely wiped out. Is there one single piece of evidence that there's 1 million people in all of these camps? Any evidence? Where do you get that number from? It's insane. These huge clothing companies like H&M, Adidas, Nike, they believe these stories without doing one single bit of research into it themselves and find that it's completely fabricated. Oh, welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, then my name is Jason, aka Wildman Cobra. Today we're going to be putting the final nail in the coffin of Western media. We're going to be talking about Western media's baseless Xinjiang claims. Right, so I saw a little news article from one of my favorite news publication companies, if you can call them that. Anyway, let's just call them BSP News. Right, the name of the article was called China's Tainted Cotton. Right, and so it starts off the article. As soon as you open the article, there's a little video playing of two cotton workers, you know, but for some reason BSP News, they blurred their faces. Now why are you blurring the faces of these two cotton workers? Oh, that's right, because if you didn't blur the faces of these two cotton workers, right, people are going to track them down and find their real identity and find that is indeed what they are. Workers, not slaves or forced labor like you claim. That's the reason you blur the faces. Right, so I've got the article on my phone here. Right, so then it goes on to claim that they've done some kind of investigation and they've uncovered some new information. What could this information be about? Oh my god, what's it about? Oh, basically they've come up with a new storyline. These fiction writers, these novelists, right? What's the story about? It's about picking cotton. Now, why would they choose this particular subject, you know, of picking cotton? It's because for Westerners, this phrase, picking cotton, you know, it straight away puts in your mind this kind of idea of American European slave trade. You know, it puts it right at the forefront of your mind before you start reading the article. And so then it goes on to say, more than 1 million people are being sent to detention camps around the whole of Xinjiang, right? Ah, okay, 1 million people. Where do you get that figure from exactly? Any evidence of it? Is there one single piece of evidence that there's 1 million people in all of these camps? Any evidence? Where do you get that number from? You would think that you had some evidence if you're going to write a massive story saying there's 1 million people. Do you have any evidence of it? What's that? No? Not one single shred of evidence that there's 1 million people in detention camps. Okay, don't you think you should have some evidence before you write a story? What's that? No? Okay, why don't you say 2 million people? Oh, 1 million sounds better. Okay. Oh, you claim to have a picture of one of the camps, do you? Right, let's take a look at this satellite image that they have of one of these alleged forced labor detention camps and a factory right next to it, right? Firstly, why are you snooping around looking at satellite images of other countries? I'm sure you've got enough problems in your own country. Why don't you look at their satellite images? But anyway, so in this picture, you see a factory. Well, it's supposed to be a factory. I mean, it could be anything. We don't even know what it is, right? I mean, this is supposed to be some kind of detention camp. Can you explain why they've got a nice little garden in the factory? I mean, you can clearly see that's like a garden area to walk around. It has paths. And then right next to it, there's a square. Can anyone explain? I thought this is some kind of forced labor like factory. Why is there like a nice little relaxing garden to walk around? Right, and then right across the road, you've got the alleged camp, which literally looks like a school. It looks like a school, or it could be housing, a housing complex. Let me tell you something. Whenever there's some kind of construction work or a big project in China, farming, or whatever, right? Actually, I think I might be able to show you one down here. For example, when this housing complex was being built, many of these workers, they don't live nearby. Maybe they're from a small rural town. So the workers, how can you expect the worker to travel all the way back to a small rural town, which is miles away, and in some cases can be hundreds of miles away? So what these construction companies do, they set up temporary housing on the construction site, and most of the time it's right across the road from the construction site or the project or whatever it is, right? And so I'm going to show you an example of that now. This is a huge housing complex construction site, and if you look over there, you can see some kind of blue temporary housing just there, right? And therefore the workers, they live there, they sleep there, and the reason is so that this company, they can get this building built much quicker when the workers are living on site, basically, and things just get done a lot quicker. When the workers finish working, all they have to do is literally cross the road back to their housing that's provided by the company. That's what you're seeing in this picture. I mean, it's insane that they don't even know that even. That's how little they know about China. If you continue reading, it says, "We have images of people crossing the road, all wearing the same color uniform." I mean, what do you expect? The workers, of course they're wearing the same uniform. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. They were all wearing construction safety hats too. Oh my God. What does that bring to, what conclusion can I draw from this? Oh, they must be slaves. They can't be workers. Right? I mean, if I owned a factory, I would expect all the workers to wear the uniform. No? For example, in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a huge province. It is 3 times the size of the country of France. Now, do you expect a Xinjiang worker to travel back home after he's finished working in the picking cotton in the fields? He's going to travel hundreds, thousands of miles back home? No, that is why these companies, they provide them with housing nearby or across the road from the site. And then if you scroll down in the article, there's a little segment on video, right? And this video is some video taken out of someone's car window, and there's basically no evidence of what it is, and it's completely grey. I mean, how grey can you, how many filters are you using? It looks like my BSB News. I guess they're the kings of this kind of filter, the underworld filter. Right, I'm going to show you a satellite image from this city that I'm walking in now, and show you how easy it is to make it look like some kind of concentration camp. So for example here, this is the satellite images of the city that I was just walking around. So let's see if we can find something like this here. Look, they would take this picture and they're going to say, oh, look at the walls here. These are the walls of the prison detention complex here. And then across the road is the forced labor factory here. You can see it here. What happens is they're forced into the forest to chop down the trees for the wood. It's forced slave labor. This is basically what they did. They just came on Google Earth images, and these images are out of date as well, and they just found something that looks like some kind of camp to them,
and then they fabricated an entire story out of it.
Right, okay, they claim to have found another huge prison camp complex with multiple factories inside. Oh my god, let's take a look at it. But wait, hold on a second. If you look closely at these pictures, you see those blue roofed buildings that are used for temporary housing. What kind of prison is this? It's made from temporary housing material. Surely all of these prisoners, they can escape from this temporary housing. I mean, literally a strong gust of wind and some of these temporary housing, they just blow over. Where's the prison walls? Where's the watchtower? Any evidence? No, just a satellite image of some housing, basically. Okay, let's call it a prison camp. Okay, great, yeah, go ahead, publish the story. All these bullshit stories by Western media, it's just a huge ploy to try and destabilize China, to serve their own geopolitical interests. They're afraid of China's rise, that's all it is, basically. I mean, take a look at Iraq and that whole situation with the weapons of mass destruction. Did they find anything? They didn't find a single thing. In Xinjiang, there is 24,000 mosques in that one single province in China. If you compare that to the entire country of the United States of America, it is 10 times more. Now you're probably going to say, oh well, America's not an Islamic country. Guess what? Neither is China. Let me tell you something about the Uyghurs and all the other different minorities in China. There's 55 different minorities. The population of these minorities is growing at a faster rate than the majority Han Chinese. And that's because all of the minorities were not subject to the one-child policy. They even have minorities scripture on the money, on the actual Chinese national currency. Wait, I'm going to show you here. Look, hold on. I don't know if you can see it there, right? But look at all those different like writing on there. I don't even know what it is. Arabic, you got Pinyin, Chinese, all different types. Then we've got another one here. They've even got a minority's face on the money here. That's the Miao minority. Uyghur minorities and Miao minorities, Bui minorities, right? When they're doing their final exam or trying to get their score up to get into their university of choice, they will get extra points on their final score just because they're minorities. The government is helping them just because they're minorities. So they have more chance than Han Chinese to get into their university of choice. I mean, if you want to talk about the treatment of minorities, I mean, America, they've got some cheek to talk. I mean, if you look at America today, how are America's minorities doing? For centuries, even up to today, Americans of African descent, they still have to suffer from racial discrimination, prejudice, injustice. Also, ever since Rona outbreak, there's been a surge in violent attacks against people of Asian descent. Oh, and how about the old Native Americans of America? How are they doing today? The indigenous people of America. Oh yeah, that's right. They were displaced, killed off, put into slavery and war. Their culture was literally oppressed so much that it was almost completely wiped out. Huh, what does that sound like? Oh, that's right, it sounds like genocide. Why is no one sanctioning America over this? Oh, right, oh, that's right, because it was done by the European colonies. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll let that one slide. It was done by Europe. I thought America was the land of the free. Well, maybe it's not so free if you belong to a certain group of people, if you know what I mean. Whoa, look at this building. And then you get these companies like H&M, Nike, Adidas, Converse, right? And they see these Western media stories and they believe it. They jump on the bandwagon. Well, guess what? By these stores saying, oh, we're not using Xinjiang cotton anymore, they are literally putting Uyghurs and people in Xinjiang out of work. They are forcing people in Xinjiang to go outside of the province to find work because they're closing their factories and they're not using their cotton anymore. So it's ironic, really. It's insane. These huge clothing companies like H&M, Adidas, Nike, they believe these stories without doing one single bit of research into it themselves and find that it's completely fabricated. Anyway, it's funny actually because I bought a new pair of trainers, a Chinese brand, and they're called Anta. Look at these trainers, they're amazing. Adidas, Nike, H&M, Converse. Get the hell out of China. I'm sticking with Anta, baby. Look at these trainers, they look amazing. Not a sponsor, by the way, but Anta, if you are watching this, give me a call. Yeah, nice trainers, baby. Nice sneakers.